But let's move on, and I believe we had NIIT, which reported its numbers as well. And when you look at the numbers that came in from NIIT, seems like a decent set of numbers that the company managed to actually give this time around. When you see the revenues that saw a growth of around 30% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the company actually reported an EBITDA profit versus a loss of 6.4 crores last quarter in terms of EBITDA. The profits also saw a sharp jump up, 10.6 crores versus 2.2 crores. So good number coming in on that front. Let's bring on board to talk more about the numbers. We're joined by Rajendra Pawar, chairman and co-founder at NIIT Group. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in with us this afternoon. And before we come to number specific, let's just try understanding that IT trends that we are seeing coming in. IT is seeing a weakness. So what is the overall demand outlook that you have right now?
Well, I think you are very right in first commenting that the IT sector is facing challenges, and because of all the reasons that we understand, and we don't see it as a secular problem. It is a problem at this moment, and most of the big companies are holding back adding people. So that obviously has a direct implication on the demand for services like training. But we have to say that this problem is not, it's been around for a couple of quarters. And we see that the biggest effect happened the last quarter, as you know. But then we can see now that sooner or later people will have to start adding. And then secondly, companies are looking at retraining their employees. So that part is happening in any case. And so we've seen a very decent increase in interest in learning programs, and the 30% increase is a good sign. And we are now looking forward to the remaining part of the year also staying within reasonable zone for the moment.
Does that mean that you expect it to continue for the second half of the year, this weakness that we have seen? And also, if you could comment in terms of the BFSI strength, that one is something that is doing quite well. So what about the longevity in terms of the BFI strength that we've seen as well?
So the banking sector, as you know, is facing a phenomenal growth, not just in retail banking outlet being increased, but also in wealth management, for example. So we see a very steady increase, and we see that being around for a while. It's not a shot in the dark. So we see that, and that's become a significant part. In fact, almost 2/3 is being in IT, but 1/3 of the training that we do is catering to the banking sector. So that's grown well. The IT sector has been challenged. We expect that to start becoming stable. But banking, we expect will continue to grow at the level that it's growing right now. So that's a healthy trend.
Right. So is it fair to assume on an overall level for the year that the organic growth rate would be of around high teens?
Well, not really. I think the last quarter, as you know, there was a sharp drop. And this quarter, we're still a little lower than what we were last year, because last year, the 3 quarters were extremely strong. So this quarter, we are coming closer to the level of last year, but then we have a lot to catch up with. So we are also looking at the second half being more uncertain and that's clear, I think, to everybody. There are far too many uncertainties. So we expect that we should be somewhere around the same level of last year, not very much higher. It doesn't look likely because there is far too much of uncertainty. And the last quarter results of the IT sector also indicated negative hiring, effectively. People left, but they joined, but more people left than joined. So the numbers for the top 8-10 companies of total employees has come down. And that is obviously causing its own set of uncertainties. So people who are looking for adding new skills, who are already in the job, yes, they would need to learn more. So what we are doing really is to really step up the new technology space. So in generative AI, for example, now every one of our programs has components of Gen AI, which is in demand. So it's not about the generic demand going up, it's selective demand, more focused needs emerging for new technology areas. And that's where our thrust is. And that's really what we are looking at, focusing on.
And if I want to just talk about your margins, they have been fairly volatile as well. So, what is the medium-term target that you have over there?
Well, see, the thing is, by and large, as you know, if top line drops unexpectedly like it did last quarter, then the margin get affected very significantly. This quarter, we have covered a lot of ground, and so the margins have got better, as you've seen. So we are anticipating that the next quarter, quarter and a half, 2 quarters, the remaining part would be on even keel, but having lost a lot of ground in the last quarter, we would perhaps come to similar level like last year overall. And margins will improve because we've dealt with a lot of action. We've done a lot of action in the last quarter. Some results have come now, so margins overall for next year will be better. For this year, will be better than last year.
And so, one more thing that I want to know also is in terms of what are the other new courses lined up, and what do you think is going to be the growth driver for the company going forward?
I think we stated this last quarter as well, that for the last year, year and a half, we've been looking at a diversification across verticals. So if you look at NIIT 40 years ago, we sort of anticipated what was going to happen in IT. And the turn of this century, we started working on banking. So these two are the dominant subjects. But over the last year and a half, we've been looking at emergent areas. And we have a list of areas, and we'll be rolling out programs as we go forward. And therefore, what IT did for us for 20 years and banking has done for the last 15 years, we have a couple of areas on the horizon which we're looking at, whether it's to do with the whole decarbonization area, whether it's to do with engineering, R&D, whether it's to do with design. So there are areas on new manufacturing. These are the emerging areas. And we have plans to start engaging in those areas as we go forward. And so while IT will remain important and banking will grow, I think that it's the newer areas which will give us more sustainable growth going forward.
New areas which will give you better growth going forward as well. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in with us this afternoon, giving us an understanding in terms of numbers as well as the way forward, especially for the company. So that was the management of NIIT for you all on the channel. But let's move on and keep it going with all the stocks that are still buzzing in trade. And next stock that is